Hi, everybody.
Welcome, everyone, to today's seminar, which is titled Stuck, Broke and Going Nowhere, Creating Success on Demand. It's really been funny how since we titled that as our webinar today, I had so many emails and a few phone calls.
Yeah, some people are very confused. Some people saying, I'm really stuck, and others saying, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think some people took offence and as if I was targeting just people that were stuck in the financial situations. But you can be stuck
Emotionally.
Emotionally, you can be going nowhere as far as your development goes or spiritual development. You can be any of that title in many areas of your life. So it'll be an interesting webinar today that we have with you, and just to give you a little bit more. So for those that haven't met us before, my name's Marion and Mason. This is Brian Power. We're from E equals VS, and we bring you the teachings of Grigori Grabavoy. And our role is to guide you through the teachings of Grigori Grabavoy to accelerate your spiritual eternal development. Now, why we say eternally is we've all been locked into the system to think that we're only on the planet for X amount of years. But in Grabavoy's teachings, it's very much about you are here to be in this physical body for a lot longer than they've ever told you. So when we do the teachings, it's about eternally developing you in a harmonious way. So if you've joined us on previous webinars, we've talked very much how Grigori Grabavoy's education program is being rolled out this year. And in fact, some of you might have noticed how many websites that they are actually starting to promote Grabavoy. And down below, you'll see this web address, globalsalvation.org, and this is where they're holding a great deal of the live Grigori Grabavoy webinars. So these webinars go for 2 45-minute sessions generally, and there's a 5-minute break in between, and then a chance to ask questions and have Grabavoy answer them in live time. And then generally about 10 days to 14 days after the webinar, you receive the recording of the webinar and also the transcript word for word of what was actually said, because there's a lot going on in the webinar. Grabavoy is sort of speaking multidimensionally a little bit, isn't he, sometimes?
Yeah, his writings certainly are layered. We've been doing quite a bit of study lately with one of the Russian trainers, and you can read, a couple of paragraphs and spend weeks on it, digging through the layers that are buried or the controls that are buried in his writings.
Yeah, so the Grabavoy teachings are about showing you how your consciousness can develop in a very grand way than you've ever thought before. So it teaches you to access those parts of your consciousness that seem remote, but in fact your consciousness is far more powerful. For instance, you could have somebody on the other side of the planet who is not in the same room as you, and you can actually take your consciousness, tune into what is going for them and on for them, and be able to describe to us what's happening or diagnose what's happening in their body. That's how powerful we are. In fact, we can actually manifest things in our physical reality once we have enough practice at focusing our concentration. So this is not meditation. This is about having cognitive concentration and being able to make changes in your internal world that also affects your external reality, which is a little different to how most of us have been running our life. So some of the webinars that we've just been on recently, some of these teachings is the methods of rejuvenation, the methods of controlling of eternity, the technologies of eternity. And these are, especially the technologies, they're in front of us. We have what we call our area of perception, where we perceive many things. And in the area of perception are structures. They're structures of controls. So how we actually control things is in an area in front of us. So what Grabavoy does is lay out for us the information about how to reveal these technologies in our consciousness and how to be actually, for instance, to be able to regenerate or rejuvenate your physical body. And Grabavoy says that we must hurry up with our development and really fast with our, consciousness moving forward and adapt to a new reality, because as some of you might have seen in writings or on the internet, we're moving from a 3D awareness to a 5D awareness, which is much more expansive.
Yeah, there's certainly been a lot of discussion over the last couple of years about the growth, and 2012 was the trigger point in many ways of of us beginning our awakening.
Yeah, and even the fact that the planet is a living entity, the Gaia or Mother Earth, its resonance has actually increased in the past 12 months. It's doubled. It's now at 16.5 hertz. And that also affects us. And because we are also, all our cells are resonating. So what's happening generally for people is that they're starting to feel and see some of their stuff come up to the surface. We saw this a lot when we went recently. We only came back last week. We went to Steyr in Austria for the Russian Creator Knowledge Conference. What was pretty unique about this was a German conference, and we were the only English-speaking people there. You can see in this picture, this is our friend Hannes Steiner, and he was doing...
He was kind enough to do translation for us.
So what was really great about this was there were not just people that have learnt Russian knowledge, but people brought into the room the many skills that they had. We saw some really fantastic
technology.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some amazing souls.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this woman in the bottom picture here, Sabina.
She's special.
She was amazing. She was, showing us picture after picture of people she helped. She's a naturopath, but also has a special technique where she works with muscles and bones. And realignment. She showed how she realigned a person with scoliosis at 70 degrees, where the medical industry said it wasn't possible. And she showed us how quickly in a session that person was able to actually move. And I was lucky actually to have a treatment with her. It was pretty amazing. So there was a lot shared in those 3 days. No agenda at all, which was really amazing.
You just kind of put your hand up and say, I want a slot.
Yeah. So we heard things about green technology. We heard
free energy.
We heard about people's sovereignty, what our birthright is compared to what we might have been programmed. So that was a really great sharing.
Real eclectic sharing.
Yeah, really great sharing. And that's only been going on for 3 years, and we've put our hands up to
if they'll have us
again next year, which is really brilliant. And it's so great to be in a room with like-minded people like yourselves, where we're all on a journey. And it's funny how the universe just sort of gets the right people together, and the energy of the group was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal. So as we said before, you might be feeling the shift because the planet has actually doubled its frequency, its resonance in the last year. And certainly that is happening for us because, remember, we are resonating. We have a great percentage of water in our body. Water holds resonance. And what's happening for people, it's almost, I think they termed it, I saw the other day, spiritual flu, where people are literally getting like a flu or a cold or headaches, or their body is just...
Are they going to immunise me against that
No,
too?
we won't want immunisation against that. So people are experiencing like a cathartic experience of moving some stuck past old emotions.
I guess anything that hasn't been aligned is coming up to be aligned right now.
Yeah, and it seems like, when you look in the external reality, that there is a lot of shifting. Like when we were in Austria, we noticed how much turmoil Europe is at the moment with all the refugees that are coming in. In fact, when we were just before we went to Steyr, Brian had a conference in Scharding where he had some work, and this is right on the border of Germany and Austria, and the bridge was
the bridge is the border.
Yeah, absolutely. And what did you notice?
Oh, the two police cars, one Austrian and one German, parked nose to nose, and the policemen were out there checking everybody's papers and marching people back if they were trying to slip across the border.
Yeah, and
this hasn't happened since World War II.
Yeah, absolutely. And then somebody else said there was a town of 300 people, and that 300 refugees came into the town and just took it all over. So there's a lot of fear going on.
Absolutely, and politically we're seeing that playing out where, you've got so many people with their hearts open, making space available for the refugees and feeding them, and on the other hand, you've got people who are fearful of losing their jobs and the same old rhetoric. So we're seeing that play out across the planet at the moment, where the systems are trying to create some fear, and people who are awake are actually saying, no, I'm not playing.
And most times when people try to sort things out, they feel like they have to do something. And that's how we've done things previously. If something goes wrong in the external world, we get into action and we do something. But in Grigori Grabovoi's teachings, it's the other way. If we want to make changes to our external reality, we spend 80% of our time changing our internal reality, our internal viewing, and then 20% of time putting what we see in our internal reality or putting into action what we might need to do. So that's very, very different to how we've normally operated.
Yeah, I guess we've been so used to working in a duality, and now we have a choice. We can do it by changing our internal view and not even playing in a duality. I must admit, it's such a relief.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll explain a little bit about that, how we put into action, because as we said, we're trying to guide you through the teachings, and we're going to certainly do a control today to show you how some of Grigori Grabovoi's technologies work. But we want to give you real life examples of how we've been putting into action, and not just it be a theory thing for people. So stuck, yes, we can be stuck in a relationship or in a career or business or in our emotions, either mentally, physically and spiritually. These are all areas we can be stuck and feel like we're going nowhere. And broke, you don't need to be broke just in terms of money. You can be emotionally broke or mentally broke. So
or physically.
And how we would deal with this is very different. We don't run around and try to fix things, because these are only states of information. They're information structures. So, for instance, anxiety is just an information structure.
It's an information overload.
Yeah. Fear is just an information structure.
False evidence appearing real.
Absolutely. So instead of getting into the emotions of what anxiety and fear might do, which is what we've been doing for eons of times, in fact, we're quite addicted to our emotions, we simply see it as information, and we change the information in our internal world, a bit like upgrading a computer system.
Yeah, absolutely. So many people are used to running around through their lives, whether it's in a relationship or whether it's in business. They're just putting out fires. They're professional firefighters. They love the duality and they love the drama. The only trouble is it's exhausting and it depletes you. And at the end of the day, you're tossing a coin, a 50-50 chance of whether you're going to succeed or not.
Yeah.
At least doing it the RCK way, we know the objective, we know the outcome, and we're just calmly stepping towards it.
Yes, absolutely. So what you think is what you actually create. So your most dominant thought is what you're actually projecting into the information field, or the matrix, whatever you want to call it. But then you are sending out into the information field what you're thinking, and it will then resonate. It will send back exactly what you don't want. So little internal belief systems that might go on, like, oh, life's hard, nothing comes to me easily, I don't trust the systems, or I'm fearful how I'm going to pay the bills.
But they're all installed programs.
Oh, absolutely. And that's, without sounding like off the planet, I mean, that's part of the reason.
Without sounding like David Icke.
Yeah, David Icke. I've just been listening to David Icke today. If you haven't heard of him, we won't even start with him, but he's very interesting to listen to.
He's the other extreme.
He's the real other extreme. So these are things that keep us disconnected, fearful, not in our heart, but actually in our head. And therefore, when you're like that, you feel like you've lost the power. And so what the Grabavoy teachings does is help to see that you, as soul, have an opportunity to change your internal reality that will also affect the external reality.
I guess for so long we've felt disconnected. Now we have the tools and the opportunity to actually reconnect into our intuition or our knowingness or our soul talk, which has been quite difficult before 2012.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to take you through the steps of control of reality. Now, I'm going to take you through what we're going to do. We're going to discuss it first, and then we'll actually apply this as a technique. So in our first step, we're going to imagine a flow of light from above, say from eternity, and place yourself in the flow of light.
I call that a light stream.
Yeah, it's a light stream, absolutely. So imagine, now we're not going to work on your physical body. I want you to imagine that you're going to work on your spiritual duplicate or your hologram. So you're going to work on a hologram of yourself, because it's between your physical body and the pictures in front of you, or your perceptions in front of you, or your hologram, that the instrument of the mechanisms of control actually happen. So what your physical body does is give you feedback as to how that's going. And now feedback might be that you might feel a little tingling on your skin or a tickling on your skin. You might feel a warmth in an area. You might feel afterwards that you feel a little lighter for some reason. All of these are feedback, or you might feel something in your stomach or anywhere on your body. So this just gives you feedback. Now, not always do you have feedback, but sometimes for people who are very kinesthetic or who are sensors, they often get a kinesthetic response. So the first step is to place yourself in a light stream, in a flow of light, so with your hologram. The next step, so in front of you, imagine a silvery white sphere. Now, I know some of you don't see or can't imagine, but just sense that there could possibly be a silvery white sphere. And then into the silvery white sphere, we're going to place our intention or our objective. And in this case, our intention or objective is universal rescue and eternal harmonious development. So a lot of our previous webinars, we've focused mainly on you and said, just work on you, just get results. But seeing though the planet is going through such turmoil.
No, it's not turmoil, it's transition.
It's transition. Well, what appears in our external world is turmoil, but it is a transition for
that's what the media want you to think.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to do something globally, and not just globally, universally. So not just our planet we're on, but the solar system we exist universally. So we're going to put our objective into that sphere. So the words of universal rescue and eternal harmonious development are in the silvery white sphere. And the next thing to do, step 3, is imagine placing a number code into the sphere. And in the sphere, we're going to place the number code for universal rescue and eternal harmonious development. Now, number codes are the light language of your soul. Your consciousness and your soul understand the language of the number code. So, and in any language on the planet, everybody understands 3 equals 3 and 7 equals 7. So there's no deviating from it or perceiving. It's just the number. Now, you'll also notice that in this number code, there are 2 spaces. And the reason there are 2 spaces is this is where the information, the new information flows. So the first part of the number is 3917, and then there is a space. So leave the space. Then the next number is 28, and then there's another space with there, and then it's 519. So what you do when you imagine in front of you this silvery white sphere, and you've put your intention or your objective into it, which is universal rescue and eternal harmonious development, you're also then going to see the number code. Now, when we hold our concentration, what we're going to look at is the number, the whole number, and notice if there is either one or more numbers that seem to be standing out for you. And then what you do is place your concentration on these numbers and hold it until all the numbers are glowing the same. And once they've done that, that is your finish of your concentration. Now, at the same time, you might be noticing what might be changing. You might notice that, for instance, the numbers start moving, or you notice they start coming in and out, or you might feel a physical reaction in the body. All of this is giving you information that things are shifting. Next step, and for people that, find it difficult to visualize a sphere, here's something else you could visualize instead of a silvery white sphere. You might visualize a globe, a picture of the earth with people living in harmony with the rest of earth, and you're living in an earthly paradise where people are happy and healthy. So you might see that same thing, and you can still put the number code on the map of the earth. So you can choose to do either one of those. You can either do the silvery white sphere, or you can imagine the earth with people are happy and you're living in paradise. Now, once we've put our objective in there and we've noticed the number code and seen that all the numbers are the same, we're going to change in our imagination, in our consciousness, the location and the size of the sphere. And how you do this is just imagine that you either move the sphere left or right slightly, or up or down. Now, the point of this is when the original sphere is in an area of time and space, this is the information. So, for instance, imagine that the planet is going through transition, as Brian said, and it's stuck in this holding pattern. When we, in our consciousness, move the sphere in location in our consciousness, either, as I said, left, right, up or down, you actually change the information structure. It's not as it was before because it's now in a new location. And also what we're going to do is change the size of the sphere. So we can either shrink it so it's a lot smaller, or we can expand it. And once again, the same thing happens again. Because we have changed the size of the sphere, we've changed the information structure. And of course, our objective is for this is for universal rescue and harmonious development. So these are our 4 steps that we're going to use when we're actually going through our control. So before we start that, we need to be in a calm place. There's no point of doing controls when you're anxious and worried or stressed. They just don't work. So to help to get you still and calm, we're going to take 3 breaths. We're going to take a first breath in and out. Second breath in and out. And third breath in and out. And immediately that starts to calm you inside. Now, for some of you, you might have been in the foreign events, as we call them, of the external world, meaning that you have been caught up with what the media might say, or your work environment, or your boss, or your school if you're still in school, or in a relationship. Anything that takes you away from your soul, from being connected, is what we call a foreign event. So we just might step out of foreign events to start this off. So imagine that you're seeing a raging river of foreign events. And this can be, as I said, the media, your family, your relationship, the government, the political system, anything that's actually in there. So we start off by saying we are in spirit. We see an act as the Creator sees an act. Rescue and harmonious development for the planet and all mankind. First, we step out of any foreign events. So I see the raging river of foreign events, and I consciously take a step out of the river and onto the shore. And from a safe distance, I notice as those foreign events float off down the river. And then I turn and walk in another direction, my path, the bright path of the Creator. All the participants and events in the foreign events go their bright paths. Our paths did not cross. I fix this with the number code 8898. Now we're going to do our first step of our control of reality. So imagine that you see a hologram of yourself, and you see that you're standing in a light stream. So that light stream is covering all of you. In front of the image of you, the hologram of you, create a silver white sphere. Or you can create a picture of the globe, whatever one you are choosing. And into either one of these spheres, you're going to place your intention or your objective, which is universal rescue and eternal harmonious development. So imagine these words are placed in your silver white sphere or your picture of the globe. Then the next step, we imagine placing the number code into the sphere, and this is the number code for universal rescue and eternal harmonious development. The number is 3917 space 28 space 519. Now you're going to focus on this number code and notice if there are any numbers, that might be one or more, that seem to be standing out for you the most. And now we're going to put our concentration on that particular number code. And at the same time, as we put our focus on that particular number in the number code, we're going to keep our objective, our intention in our mind as well. And that is for universal rescue and eternal harmonious development. So hold your objective and at the same time concentrate on the number or numbers that you're seeing that are standing out. Now we're going to hold our concentration for a short moment, and I want you to notice if you are sensing or feeling or noticing anything that's changing. So you might feel something in your physical body or notice something that's changing in your imagination or in your consciousness. So we're going to hold this number. I'm going to read it again. 3917 gap 28 gap 519. Hold your objective, universal rescue and eternal harmonious development. Now when all the numbers are shining the same, now change in your consciousness the location of your sphere. Either move it slightly to the left or to the right, or either up or down.
The brightest image.
Yeah. And then either shrink it slightly or expand it. Either one. So shrink it to a small sphere or expand it to a large sphere. And in doing both of those, you are changing the information structure. Still hold your objective, universal rescue and harmonious development. Now, in your consciousness, once again, see yourself in the light stream. Notice the sphere in front of you and see or sense or have an awareness and see what might have changed. What are you noticing? So, as I said before, it could be something from a sensory feel, or it could be something as simple as the numbers look brighter or the sphere seems to be glowing. It will be different for everyone, so there's really no cookie cutter approach. You will see something different from somebody else because everybody's perception is different. And Grabavoy's teachings is about you developing your consciousness. So there is no right or wrong. All we're doing is guiding you to help you to understand that. Okay, now that all looks okay and you might have noticed something, then we just finish that off by I fix the result. And we do that with the number code 8898, or sometimes people like the number code for materialization, which is 741, and then repeat it again, 741, and then repeat it again, 741. So the number code for manifestation, instant manifestation, is 741 repeated 3 times. So how was that for you? What did you notice? Now, I just want you to know that you don't have to particularly use this sphere just for what we did, which is what we call a macro control, when we're working on something outside of ourselves. Because quite often it's hard to see a result when we've done something on such a big objective like that. And likewise, when you work on somebody else, it's hard to see a result quickly. That's why we focus in our training. We focus mainly on you making the changes and getting the results, so that you just don't know in your head, but you know in your heart. You have a knowing. You know that they work. And when you get to that point, then you can help other people. But you help other people by helping yourself, because we're all connected. Some of the things that you can place into the sphere could be, for instance, this is the cash flow to the norm. This is the number code for cash flow. But it could be a health objective. It could be anything. It could be a relationship, harmonizing of my relationships with somebody. But some key things that you need to remember is to have a clear objective. You need to be clear on it. It mustn't be waffly or long-winded. You can imagine that somebody's giving clear directions, like a CEO of an organization or like the creator. This is what I want done, because this is what you're doing. You're informing the information structures that are around you. The next thing you need to be aware of is to hold your concentration. Now, Grabavoy says the best time to do concentrations are at between 10 and 11 at night. And of course, if you have a health challenge, it's best to work on this twice a day. So you could do it 10 in the morning and 10 in the evening. But you can do your controls any time of the day. It's just that if you want to be really connected into the stream, then 10 o'clock at night is a nice time to do it. But you must hold your concentration and start to have an awareness of something more than you see with your visible eyes, because your visible eyes only take in 1/1000th of what's actually happening in our known reality. The other thing is to be aware of what you might see or sense in your consciousness, because quite often we think, oh, I'm just making this up, I'm just imagining this. But I can tell you through practice and And especially when I'm working with a group of people and we're working on the same objective, and I'll say, this is what I saw change in my objective, and then people say, yeah, look, I saw something similar, and we realize that yes, there has been a change, or there has been a result, or we get feedback. So this is about sensing what changes in your consciousness, so that you start to reach, as if you're getting more access to the areas of your brain that you've only used time.
Areas of consciousness.
Yeah, it's areas of consciousness that you've really never known before. So have fun playing with this, because you can apply it to anything. In fact, one of our most successful students in the USA used this. The UK. Juanita, she is a very gifted healer, and she applied this with her clients, just this control with her clients, and got some phenomenal results, really great results. So absolutely a great one for you to play with and start to understand. And also chart down your objectives. Write down what you did. And
that's important.
That's important, because you need to be able to monitor exactly what control you did and what your objective is, because sometimes you'll set an objective and maybe you won't notice a result for a while, and then you start to doubt whether it's actually happened. And sometimes you just simply need more constant practice with it, or you might need to sharpen your objective. So writing down your objective and writing down, what you might have noticed, and that is important in developing your consciousness and awareness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to talk about a project that a group of us have been working on. And we have access to, through Hannes, a great piece of German technology called Time Waver. And it actually gives you a snapshot of your matrix right at this moment of time, exactly what's going on.
And it can be an individual, it can be a business, it can be a project, it can be a relationship.
So in this case, we're working on a business. There's a core of us. There's about 8 people.
Working on a project.
Yeah, we're working on a project. There's about 8 core people, but there's a lot more people involved in this, because especially when you're working in business, Grabavoy says, you have to not just think about what's in it for you. You have to think about the chain of people that are around you. So this is your suppliers and your customers and the people that are in the organisation with you. So there must be harmony for everyone in there. It's just not about me anymore. So I said to you...
Really? I thought you were a Virgo.
No. Yes, no. So I said to you I wanted to give you tangible evidence. And so I'm going to show you this project that we worked on. We had a look at it, and this is dated the 3rd of August this year. We looked at the project from a perspective of an aura, and to gauge how everybody is in this particular project. And
then we did controls to bring it back into normal state.
Absolutely. So different to what you might have done if, for instance, if your business, for instance, is not working, you would decide to go out and do something first to try to fix the problem. Physically. And in fact, that's not where you need to make the changes. The changes need to happen from you. And some of the 2 key books that Grabavoy talks about is his business success book, which has number codes for every area in business. And it doesn't matter if you don't own a business. If you trade your value for and time and you get paid for it, you are in the business of being employed. Mm-hmm. So you need to harmonize you and your boss, because if your boss is not doing well, the chances are you won't be doing well.
Absolutely.
So,
and if your customers are not doing well, then it slides down the chain.
Absolutely.
Orders drop off. They want discounts.
Yes.
Everybody suffers.
Yes, absolutely. Now, the other thing that happens when you're going through harmonizing, often your stuff comes up, your psychological stuff comes up, the underlying things. So
it's not just it's psychological, it's karmic, it's genetic, this system measures across all levels.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, as far as the psychological, as you sometimes need to go and get Grabavoy's book on psychological norming.
Yes.
So, for instance, I remember where I could see a key thing in our family was control. We all my members of my family had elements of control. So I put into psychological norming control, and it actually just threw up all the pages where control was mentioned. I actually saw there was actually different ways that Grabavoy described it that I wouldn't have actually thought about it, that I could apply different number codes. So
that's a plus for getting the ebook.
Yeah, there's certainly get a hard copy, but I'm also suggesting perhaps an e-copy. If you want to know where the e-copies is, we've have a shop now. We've got some e-copies there. If you want to buy some books from Amazon, you can go through our shop and be able to get them there as well. So these are just easy, so you can work out the number codes. I have so many people say, what's the number code for this, that, and the other, and it would really make it easy if you got your own, because I'm having to work out what you actually need. So in this case, we looked at, in this project, at the aura, and the top picture gives you an idea. So when you see that there's a very small intense ball, it means that the intensity is there, but it's not to its potential. Now, on the second graph, you'll see that some of the numbers are very close to the center. Some of the colors are very close to the center, so there's not much color at all. And this indicates that this is pretty balanced. But where you see, for instance, in the green, where it's the heart area, that's around, about 20, I can't see what it is, about 28% there. Yeah. This shows on the left that there are some past emotions that are being dealt with from on the heart area.
And it's a depletion.
And it's depleting in that area. And likewise, a little further down, you'll see that, in fact, around 38, the sacral is out. So the ability to create is out of balance as well. So
it's overactivated.
It's overactivated. So, and then on the further graph down the bottom, it shows you how at what level each particular area are, and these are chakras. So the top, the one on the left-hand side at the bottom, the brown one, that just represents the overall energy of all the chakras. And then the next one is the crown, then the forehead chakra, the throat chakra, the heart, the solar plexus, which is where you get your gut feelings, your sacral chakra, and then the base chakra or root chakra, as you might know, so how grounded you are. So, for instance, if that area in red on this last part of the graph was extremely low and all the top areas on the left-hand side were up, I might have great ideas, I might have a really great connection, but I can't actually bring them into physical reality because I'm not grounded. So this is why it's important to have all the areas balanced. Let's look.
So ideally in that middle graph, we're looking for plus or minus 10 or plus or minus 15%.
So what we did as a group then is did controls to harmonise those areas which were out that we could see from this particular graph.
So in actual fact, we're building or tuning a business model using spiritual elements.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just working on the spiritual end of this to manifest in physical reality. The next one we looked at was on the 5th of October, and you can see that the total energy is pretty good. We're just a little bit out in the sacral area, in the creating area. And
we're quite grounded.
And we're quite grounded as a group, and the solar plexus is a little bit of emotion. So once again, we do controls to work on the areas, but the total project is looking a lot better. So that was on the 5th of October. Then on the 29th of October, we looked at the group again, and yes, we were definitely, there's some stuff happening. We know from a group point of view, people were getting a little frustrated, and why wasn't it happening faster than they imagined? And so we went through all the gamut of, what's going on, and spoke about what we were feeling. And it was really interesting when we talked about, that comes up. So things like somebody said, well, what happens if this project came to fruition? what would you do? What would be the first thing you do? And somebody said, oh, look, I'd go and pay all my bills. And then that brought into a lot of discussion, really, why are you working? Wouldn't you reward yourself first? And it's really interesting as a group how we start to sift through all the different areas that we tend to be out of balance in. So that was on the 29th of October. And then on the 30th, a couple of days later, 31st, we noticed that the forehead, we're getting a little disconnected at the crown, and that the energy level of the project, there's definitely some emotions there in the yellow area that are out of balance, and in the green area, it's just a little bit, the heart is a little bit out of balance, just processing some stuff from the past. And this is, being harmonized, and this is probably the last time we look at it. So we spend 80% of our time changing it in our consciousness from a spiritual perspective. And of course, there are some little things that we have to do, and the doing part is doing the control at this stage. But we have no doubt, we know that we've produced results in other areas. People do get frustrated when it doesn't happen to the time frame they want, but sometimes we don't see the bigger picture, but we know that the project is already completed. So that's how we work on ourselves. So if there's something, for instance, that happens in our business and there seems to be a challenge, we would work on us or notice the business as a geometric shape, or we would use, or as a project, and then we would use a control to change the information instead of running around in the outside world depleting ourselves. So this is how we work, and to harmonise things within personally, but also in a business perspective. And I said to you, I wanted to provide real, tangible evidence for you, and that's what we can do with the Time Weaver. Just to give you a little bit of information, so Time Weaver gives you a snapshot of your matrix, of your reality currently, and shows it from views of all areas of your reality. So from physical to spiritual, from past life and karmic patterns, to family patterns, to your health, wealth, and well-being. And sometimes this really helps because it gives us a map of what is actually happening. And so, for instance, if we see an area from the Time Weaver that is not in harmony, that we mightn't have even known consciously, all we need to do is be able to focus on that. And sometimes it's just health, and we might be low in minerals or whatever. So it gives you a snapshot, and it's certainly, we use it as a bit of a guide.
As a measuring tool.
As a measuring tool. But in this case, really wanted to show you guys exactly how we do it and what we do and how we make the changes, so you can see tangible results along the way. If anybody wants to talk to us about a Time Weaver and how that applies to you, then certainly give us a call or email us, and we can certainly give you the information and orchestrate that for you. So let's talk about a little bit about what's going to happen in the next little while. We've got some hot dates. This weekend in Melbourne, we have the 7th, 8th and 9th of November. We have our transformation workshop, and then in Brisbane, we're there with the Natural Remedies group on the 21st, 22nd and 23rd. In Melbourne again in January on the 30th, 31st of January, 1st of Feb. And in Singapore, we're there on the 16th, 17th and 18th of January. And also our new Business and Beyond workshop, we will be presenting on the 23rd and 24th in Singapore to start the year. All the rest you can see on our website. So, the best way to show you about how we help people is just to talk a little bit about the results. We work with people all over the world. We do mentoring sessions with people to help guide them through that. We have on our website some recorded webinar series that we've done, and they are there to help to guide you through. Now we have a bonus with that. Well, I'll talk a bit about that later, but just here's what we received recently from Rose. Rosemary. She said, I really enjoyed my session with Brian. He's very gifted, very knowledgeable, and he delivers tangible results. I've seen real long-term emotional issues with family and friends that have shifted. I've had a spine improvement of 70% in just a few weeks. And in Russian knowledge, I've found I learned something new each time, which I haven't been able to do with other areas, and the situations continue to enhance and heal. So thanks to Rosemary. And this is also from Ria from Canada. We worked with her. She said, I've tried a fair share of modalities to help me, in particular with a 7-year crisis with my ex-husband. And, things were getting worse. And when I contacted Brian and started the webinar, I was less than a week away from a meeting that I was dreading. And I can remember her saying that. Things did not look good for me at all. I thought all was lost. And with Brian's gentle yet firm guidance, I immersed myself into RCK. To my utter surprise, the results of that dreaded meeting and the circumstances around it began to change in less than 1 week of doing Russian creator knowledge. Both my partner and I are in joyful shock at how quickly our external reality has begun to change just by working on my internal world. So if you need help fast, I recommend RCK. And that's really true. A few webinars ago, we had in our masterclass, we had Susan, who's a kinesiologist, and her whole life was turned upside down after a workshop, in a good way. Her relationship broke up, but then it needed to. And instead of falling in a hole and staying in her little pocket, she actually reached out and gave us a call. And, when you go through things like that, you get into stress and you go into your old patterns. And so what we were able to do was just, help to steer in the right direction. And, she started to panic about little things about clients, because she was telling you, Brian, her clients were going down.
Oh, yeah, she was going, they just drop. She had a nice steady run of clients, and then there'd be a heap of cancellations, and for no set pattern. One day she'd, and it just dropped away, and she was, really in fear around it. And we just went through and actually constructed a functional business plan, put into place the actions that needed to happen, did the controls on a weekly basis to create and orchestrate the flow of clients that she needed, and the types of clients she required, and really got sharp on it. And, she hasn't looked back.
Yeah, because her clients would sort of go up and down along with her emotions.
Absolutely. But they were connected.
But it was really interesting, because I remember when Susan rang up for, to talk to her about her business, and I think one of the first things you said to her was, well, what's your business plan?
I said, bring along your business plan. And she said, what's that?
What's that? And it's really strange. Some people, have been in business for a long time, for 20 or 30 years. And when you talk to them, they'll say, well, what about your business plan? Oh, yeah, I did that 20 years ago. Well, business is like your emotions. It goes up and down.
It's not even just the business plan. We do what do we call a document?
A
divine mission statement. We actually set the agenda for the year of the things that we want to experience, the things we want to do, the travel we want to do, all of those things we put into that divine mission statement. A business plan is exactly the same thing. It's just we're doing it for the business environment. And with the end of duality, unless you do something, unless you plan what you want to put into your reality, you will get what you've always got.
Absolutely. Somebody else's reality.
Someone else's reality. The duality will continue to play out unless you clear it and put something in its place.
Yeah. So it's very important. And then what Brian did with Susan, when she went through the business plan, then they started implementing some number codes and some controls.
Absolutely.
So every time, she had an issue, then she just went back to the start and changed the information, did a control around it, and then noticed what changed around her. And she's had some phenomenal results in such a short time. And it's really because she's doing the work and she really embraced it. So they're the real things. You need a plan in life. If you don't have a plan, then you don't have a direction. Often people...
It's like getting on a boat and pulling out a port and just seeing where the wind blows you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you're a captain of a ship. or a captain of a family or a captain of a relationship. You've got a team. Where are we going?
Yeah.
Where are we going this month? Where are we going this year? What do we want to achieve? What do we want to experience? What do we want to see?
Yeah.
Where do we want to get to? It's you know.
Yeah.
And with the old days of duality, we had that play of family karma and personal karma and the mass consciousness all creating a soup. Pushing us around. That's no longer, doesn't need to be relevant anymore.
Yeah, so it's very important to get
and if you remove information, you've got to replace it with something. Otherwise, what's left in there will just fill it up.
Yeah, so we've been doing, as you see on the screen, if you need help, we have some recorded webinars that we've done. We've actually broken our 3-day workshop into 3 separate series. This is to help people who obviously can't make it to a workshop. And so
because of distance
that's right.
or finance.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are 4 2-hour webinars in each series, and as a bonus with each series you have a one-on-one mentoring session with Brian and I where we help to guide you and
just give you some clarity, answer any questions you've got. Every single person says to me, am I doing it right? There is no right. It's just working or it's not working.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant.
Yeah.
You're either doing the control properly and you're in your heart, or you're trying to run it from your head. If you're trying to run it from your head, you're wasting time.
Okay, so we're happy to support people when they go through that as well. So you can find more details to that on our website. So, we're all connected, as I said before. Every control that you do for yourself, you are doing it for everybody else. And in fact, as you start to develop your consciousness, you start to realize how connected we are, not only to everyone else around us, but also to the planet we live on.
The more we wake up, the more connected we are, the more we start to affect mass consciousness, the more we bring it back into a harmonious state.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to get to that tipping point where there is enough people awake and conscious that it affects everyone else on the planet, and
to the positive.
To the positive, and it's no, there's definitely a reason you're here listening to this today. This hasn't just happened by chance. The information has come to you, and it's how you embrace the information when you hear it. And of course, I always find it's a calling of our soul to.
Yeah, and there's a smorgasbord of yummy delights on the table. Please feast in them.
Yeah. So either jump onto one of Grabavoy's webinars and certainly
practice your Russian.
Practice your Russian to English, because they're Russian to English webinars. And we're here to guide and support you to help you understand what Grabavoy is actually saying.
And the other RCK teachers too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Nadezhda and Vadim and on they go. Dr. Marina.
Yeah, Dr. Marina Vitali, we've been having some sessions with him. So, we're just here to guide you. If you think we're part of your plan to help you go through expanding your consciousness, then Brian and I are really happy to support you here. If this is your first time with us today, thank you for joining us, and we hope that you'll enjoy practicing. For those of you who have been with us before and here again, we've enjoyed the journey with you, and we look forward to seeing you again. Anything you'd want to say, Brian?
No, that's all good. Looking forward to seeing you at our next one of our workshops or online, and enjoy your day, enjoy your week.
Okay, thanks again, everyone.
Ciao. Bye.